All right. We are live, and today we're gonna begin what I've been promising for a while, because as of right now, I think we're about ready for multiplayer. I know it's kind of crazy, but yeah. So I redid the jet model a little bit. I think it looks a little better. There's some things I want to change. I don't like this sort of belly paint, but it's a little better, I would say, slightly. Clouds are looking really good. And they're volumetric too. You can fly into them, which is really great, actually. But yeah, you can fly into the clouds. They are fully volumetric, and they behave like entities in the engine. So it's great. It's great. And the way they work is like there's different cloud layers. So this whole cloud system is contained within essentially a bounding box. It's a material that I apply to a box mesh. And this box is just scaled really far. Yeah, it works pretty well. And the frame rate, like I've tested this on every crappy device I could find. I haven't done a library computer test yet, but so far, really promising performance. So I'm pretty happy with how things are going. So yeah, let's start working on what's necessary for multiplayer. Okay, officially. In fact, to make it official, we're gonna go to Trello, and we are going to add it to in progress. It's official. I don't want Jira. Okay, so before we can do any, and I don't have too long to stream, sadly. But yeah, now that we have volumetric clouds, and we have terrain, and we have full flight stuff where I want it to be, and we have a form of gravity. I mean, everything that I said I was gonna do before getting networking done is done. I guess I could say, let's get the water working, but the water's good enough. Truly, the water's good enough. So yeah, it's multiplayer time. That'll be the next thing. And yeah, so the first thing to do would be to really consider the menu. So this is what our current menu looks like. You can enter a code of a bunch of characters. So how do we do this? Well, we should probably have a create and a join thing. So let's see. Menu scene. Yeah, we'll just copy this. And this should be join button. Let's see. Join. Oh, it doesn't rename anything. Great. How fun was that? And then we should have create button. Okay. And then for position, minus, what was the relative position? 1 minus 1, so let's do minus 3. And the text will be create. And we should, with that, let's go back. Yeah, there we go. We got our join and create thing. This code piece, we'll keep it with asterisks. Trying to think how we can, we'll fine tune that later. For now, yeah, future change scene to game. We need to change that. So we're actually gonna have to probably have a whole networking layer, aren't we? So let's think. Okay, networking, and we should probably have a network manager. I have not considered at all how I'm gonna do this, by the way. Like I literally was just like, you know what, we're gonna start multiplayer and then I'm gonna live stream it. So there's a chance that like nothing happens in this stream. I don't even know what built-in networking library we're gonna use. I don't know if there's one included in Emscripten. Actually, that's probably a good idea. Emscripten WebSocket API. What does that look like? WebSocket. An example of Emscripten with WebSockets. Emscripten WebSocket send UTF-8. Wait a minute. This has to work for desktop and web. Emscripten and networking. Okay. What are networking libraries that compile with Emscripten? Let's see. What are some options that we could use here? WebAssembly, rely on mapping, native network, WebRTC. We could use built-in. I want to keep this as single-threaded as possible, because when we're working on really, really low-end devices like Chromebooks or whatever crappy device you're playing this on, I want it to work. Let's see. It's possible to compile libcurl. I don't want that, because that's not the networking library we need. WebSocket++. Okay. I think this is kind of specific. This is where I would maybe use like Perplexity. I have an Emscripten C++ game that needs multiplayer. There is a desktop and a web build. So whatever networking library I use, it needs to compile to WASM and also function for standalone desktop. Find me possible libraries for this use case. Okay, and I'm gonna open my window because my room is sweltering right now. Because they don't expand. Yeah. HumbleNet is a C. Oh, that looks really good actually. HumbleNet. Let's see. Perfect. This looks pretty good. Holy criminy, my room is like truly, it's 78 degrees in here. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is not good. If the temperature rises anymore, I'm gonna have to stop the stream. Because I have no way to cool my room down. Actually, hold on. Alright, hopefully that fixed it. What's up? Is WebAssembly better than JavaScript when you've experienced C++? Web-based app we're using because you want to. Okay, so overall, I would say if you're writing a web app, stick with the web technologies. C++ only makes it more complicated. I chose it because I wanted explicitly, I wanted experience using WebAssembly, and I also wanted to make it a bit of a challenge. If you really want to make like a good functioning desktop app, yeah, stick with the native web technologies. As much as I hate JavaScript, I don't necessarily enjoy building for the web. I like building for desktop and systems. So it worked for my case, but in the vast majority of cases, I wouldn't suggest it. There are some cases though, like Figma. Figma, they have two things going on. There's like the UI and the component hierarchy, and that's all just JavaScript React, I think. But then the viewport actually is using a C++ game engine essentially that they wrote to actually like render the stuff you're making. That in that case, it's great to use like C++ because they needed that performance. So really, if you need the performance, Like, you really have to ask yourself, do I need this? I also wonder if they would have done it the same now, because Figma was made all the way back in like the WebGL days of things. It's fair. It's not old, but it's older. Like WebGPU is not a thing. Now that WebGPU is a thing, I really don't necessarily. Maybe there may not actually be a case. Honestly, I would suggest Rust if you really want that level of performance and you also want like kind of low level systems programming. Rust has really good browser, like WebAssembly compilation. Like really good enough to where you can make a full website in Rust. I believe there's a library, Rust Web Dev Framework. There's a framework that I actually heard of the other day, and it is called Rocket. No. These aren't it. Rust Web Frontend. There is a These aren't what I'm talking about. There's an actual like front end that has a thing called RSX, which is basically JSX code, like markup code written in Rust. Like it works. So that's frustrating. I know this exists. Anyway, to answer your question, yeah. I mean, there's some cases where it's useful, but really ask yourself if it's needed. I guarantee you I could have done my current project in JavaScript, but I want C++ experience. HumbleNet. Yeah, this is what we're looking at. Okay. Demo applications. Quake 3 HumbleNet port. Simple chat app. Okay. This might be the thing to use. Does it have CMake? It does have CMake. Okay. We'll use HumbleNet. Tari. It's not Tari, because Tari is, it's JavaScript for the front end, and then Rust is the back end, from what I understand. Whereas, what I'm talking about, there is actually an application, what is it? Rust RSX markup code. Let's see. Yeah, this is what it's Deox. Yeah, this is it. You can write legitimately browser native code, and this is essentially JSX code using React, like Rust objects. Like this is essentially it. Let's see. Might get laid off. Want to be a React info learning game dev. Let's see. Got a couple months paid still. If you really like making games, then yeah, from what I understand, the web dev and the game dev industry are both the epitome of unstable jobs. Like it's not what it once was. It's not like back when the people making Halo were working out of a college. Like Bungie, I believe, was made out of a college dorm, and then they made what? They made some RTS game, and then they made Marathon, and then they worked on, and then they made Halo, and essentially it was just a fun time. They worked their butts off, but it was not the same as it is now. Now there's crunch time and people getting laid off left and right. So if you want to do it, sure. It's not hard to learn. Anyone can do it. If you have to put in the time. Have a lot of it's project based. It's very project based. Like your resume, you want games made. Let's see. I'm trying to learn OpenGL, so I'm writing my own game engine. But after OpenGL, do you think Vulkan or Vue might be better to learn? Yes. Well, it depends. What is your goal? Do you want to make games? Is that your goal? Making games. Because at the end of the day, if you just want to make games, whatever works best for you is the best option. So OpenGL, it's very easy compared to the other frameworks. Sorry, the other APIs. So if your goal is to make a game and you don't need really tight controls over the GPU, then absolutely go OpenGL. But if you want to be a graphics programmer, if you want to be a systems programmer, if you want to work on low-level stuff, if you want to be an embedded systems programmer maybe, or you want to be a hardware programmer, or something like you're trying to build software expertise, yes, Rust and WebGPU are kind of musts. Let's see, backend seems harder than React. React seems OP. Yeah, I never done multiplayer game engines. You inspire me to keep learning. Thanks, man. Yeah, honestly, so backend development, I mean, here's the problem I have with web development. Web development is kind of like, it's fundamentally, it's just different ways to take data from a database you know, use your back end to pull data from a database, do something to it, display it with the front end, and then the user does something. The front end sends that data to the back end. The back end maybe does something to that data and then puts it back in the database. Fundamentally, it's just that back and forth. And, you know, you need it to scale because tons of people can be writing data to this database or reading from this database. But fundamentally, that's what web dev is. Like, yes, there's more to it, but fundamentally, that's what it is. Computer graphics, any desktop or systems engineering, you have no idea what you're going to be doing. Like there can be 2 desktop apps written in C++ and Vulkan with nothing in common other than that, because they do fundamentally different things. Like a CAD software that has Vulkan as the backend versus Unity game engine, whatever their source code looks like, there's going to be almost nothing in common. It's hard, I would say. The networking is hard. I mean, heck, this is going to be the hardest part of my of this project. Objectively, this is going to be the hardest part. Not necessarily making games. I just want to have future Java graphics programmer. Then yeah, Vulkan and WebGPU are going to be absolutely necessary. But like, don't be afraid to start with OpenGL or to start with Vulkan. Yeah, it's very niche. If you can find a job for it, like from what I understand, there's not a ton of competition for it. That being said, there are some seriously talented developers in the space. You will be competing with seniors who know everything about Vulkan. A lot of these jobs are handled like are referrals because there's just such a small pool of applicants. It's not like web dev where there's like a React job on LinkedIn or like or Glassdoor where you can just find them all over the place. Like it's really hard to find computer. I found one computer graphics OpenGL job ever, and they used Java, and I believe it was a military company. I didn't apply because I actually thought I had a chance of maybe getting the job, and I didn't want to take that from someone who needed it. And I'm also in college, so I want to finish college. If I got the job, that would only complicate things. That's also highly overstating my ability, but like what they were asking for, the criteria they were asking for the job was stuff I had done and had projects to show. So maybe I wouldn't have gotten the job, but like I could have applied and had a fair shot, I think. Yeah, at very least in the middle back end. 2-3 years. CompTIA experience. Huh. I mean, I wouldn't say back end. Back end is different from game dev or computer graphics. Back end, it can help. I mean, in terms of computer networking and architecture and the high level stuff, but like you're not going to use Node.js. You might use Node.js if you're making a web game. Yeah. Let's see. Join the military, enlist, kind of have an arts grad. Yeah, I'm ROTC as well. Go Air Force. Yeah. Employment as a full stack. Computer graphics does not work very well with. If your goal is to be a full stack developer, don't learn computer graphics, because computer graphics is computer graphics. If you learn computer graphics, you're going to be a graphics engineer, graphics programmer. The web is not going to be something you touch ever again. It's a totally different career field. If you want to be a full stack engineer, learn front end, which sounds like you already know. Learn back end. Oh, pilot track. If they give me a pilot slot, I'll take it. But wishful thinking, you know, like I'm going to try to be the best cadet I can be. Whatever happens, happens. I like software. Pilots don't write a lot of code. But then again, I'm not going to say no to a pilot slot. Like that has been something I wanted to do for a very long time too. So who knows? That's so far down the road. Okay. So we're going to be using what do we HumbleNet. Front end, barely know Unity fundamentals. So what do you want to do? Do you want to do full stack, game development, or computer graphics? Because those are 3 completely different things. For sure. Git clone HumbleNet. Okay. And then we're going to have to link this. Yeah, there are a lot of jobs for graphics programming, but pay is too low. Voting with a special skill. Java is super stable. That's what I understand. I mean, I'm not in the Indian job market. I'm not as familiar with that, but in the U.S., it's kind of like if you're a graphics programmer, there's not a whole lot of you, and it makes things a little bit. you have a little bit less competition, a little bit more stability. But then again, like there's a lot of people like if a company needs a new graphics engineer, from what I understand, they don't really post a job listing for that. They'll go and find another studio who has a veteran graphics programmer, and then they'll just horizontally transfer to that company. So it's kind of like once you're in, you're in. But if you're not in, like it's really hard to get there. So referrals, kind of the hidden job market. Again, from what I understand, this is coming from someone who's trying to break into it. So we'll see. I'll let y'all know if I learn anything useful. But yeah, HumbleNet. I think that should be good. And then let's see, what does HumbleNet's CMake look like? Project HumbleNet. Add library. Flat buffers, no. Add library. WebSockets. Maybe there's, let's see, add library Humble. Let's see, HumbleNet native. Let's see, what is, maybe there's some examples. Make test, third party. Lib WebSockets. WebRTS. Maybe there are several demo products showing off integrating HumbleNet. There's no documentation for this, is there? Project dependencies, flat buffers. Download project, create build folder, run cmake ... Oh, okay, let's find another. I will do that if I have to, but I don't want to. This lets you use a lot of generic CPU. Having okay IT experience, just gotta be a good programmer. Perhaps web full stack, leaning more towards front end, but and from back end for work and hobbyist game dev, not so. Yeah. Let me know. Perhaps web full stack. Yeah, web full stack. I mean, making games is probably not going to get you anywhere in web full stack though, or computer graphics. Web full stack, you know, learn Rust, learn Node.js, learn C#.net, all that stuff. That's honestly not my. I've done work in that. Like one of my the places I volunteer at for software engineering, that's my job, React and .NET, C#. Very little overlap with what I do on the side, besides like general programming experience. Profile website, where'd you host, how'd you start it? Okay, my portfolio website is it's Svelte. Let's see. So yeah, where'd I start? Where'd I host? How do you get started? So it's Svelte. Svelte is, I don't like React that much. It's grown on me, but I like to try out alternatives. So it's, the whole website is just a front end. There's no back end to my website because there's no login or any of that stuff. So it's just a front end. It's written using Svelte. I'll show you what that is. Svelte. This is Svelte. Web development, yeah, it's just it's a compiler for JavaScript basically. It's just another web framework. I like it the best. And so I wrote this Svelte front end. I hosted it on, I want to say Vercel. I hosted it on Vercel. That was it. I wrote the whole website in a day, I think. Like you can see my GitHub progress. Like my what I'm doing on GitHub. Yeah, somewhere here it was like I spent a day working on, portfolio website. 29 commits in a day. Yeah, that it was just, I sat down, was like, I need a portfolio website. And I just wrote it with that. Doesn't have to be crazy. My portfolio website, I wanted to, there's some clear inspiration from like the Claude Code CLI, which it's not a CLI. Claude Code. I love the there's a Primegian video. I can't pronounce his account, but apparently the Claude CLI is horrifically engineered in terms of like how they overcomplicated the terminal interface essentially. But I don't know enough to necessarily give my 2 cents on that. But I need to find a networking layer. Mscript and sockets API. Emulate WebSockets to WebSockets. Existing seedless networking. Okay. No, I'm not going to use it. Make my own wrapper. UDP like. Let's see. If you want a higher level cross-platform layer, use HumbleNet. Start with, okay. What does HumbleNet example code look like? I just want to get an idea, because I do want this to be a little more high level. I would rather not have to think too much about this. Yikes, that don't look fun. Send message. Ooh, P2P send. Oh, wait a minute, this is P2P. Yeah, I don't think HumbleNet's what we're gonna go with. Okay, give me alternatives other than HumbleNet. Yeah. I need basic 16-person server authoritative. Server client architecture that works in the web and on desktop from the same C++ code base. Come on. Let's see. I don't know. Single-threaded WebSocket layer. Is this a... Let's see. Has a socket. A native C++ client, WebAssembly client. It's explicitly designed to integrate into game main loop, single-threaded poll style, which makes it suitable. Okay, this looks really good. Arch degree. So instead of ROTC and online GS, might just find less learn games that get hired for game engines. Okay, game dev and game engines are very different things. Because game dev is making video games. Game engines can be so much more than just... You're not making video games. You're making the engine. You're building the tool. It's kind of like how... it's the difference between being the guy who works in Photoshop and the guy who built the Photoshop app. Like, if I want to be an artist using Photoshop and I learn Photoshop, like, that's making games. And then if I want to make, computer graphics apps, that's like the software engineer who built Photoshop. It's totally different. So I would say my advice to you, pick one of those 3 paths because they're completely different. there's no overlap. There's very little overlap. Like if you want to get hired, especially in this industry, go 15 years down the road just being a scripter. Yeah, there's not going to be like a game dev then go to game engine. You could, maybe, I don't know. Pick what you want to do, be very specific, and find exactly what you need to learn to do it. Because in this industry, it is hard to get that first job. Like it is really hard. No guarantees. In fact, you're more guaranteed to not get hired, even if you're a good programmer. Just have the basics down. Like if you want to be a web developer, if that's what you wanted to get hired for, like web full stack, have your front end framework down. Be the best React front end developer you can be. Know everything, and then like pick which backend you want to specialize in. Do I want to use .NET? Do I want to use Java? It's kind of out of date, but some people still use it. Do I want to know .NET? Do I want to do Rust? If you pick Rust, be the best Rust backend developer you can possibly be. Don't even think about computer graphics. Don't think about video games. Master those 2 things. If you want to do full stack, if you want to do game dev, learn Unity, learn Unreal, master those 2 things. Learn C++, learn, make games, have a ton of games under your belt. You want to learn computer graphics? Then, yeah. I want to be a Unity developer, though my close friend is a full stack opening. Those are 2 different things. So if you want to go with what your friend has, then Yeah, that's definitely good job stability, 100%. Full go for it. But don't expect that to pivot into like game development. You could do that and then learn it on the side and then try to like apply laterally, but fundamentally you would be the same as someone who's just learned like game dev first. Does that make sense? Like it would be the equivalent of saying I want to go into the Air Force, but I'm enlisting in the Navy. You can't like enlist in the Navy and then, continue your progress in the Air Force. It would be like, okay, I enlist in the Navy and now I'm going to, end my 4 years and start over in the Air Force. Does that make sense? Like it's not like a cross commission, if that makes sense. Honestly, this different ladders, exactly, completely different ladders. I'm not saying it's not possible to like laterally do that stuff, but assume it's impossible so that way you set yourself up for success. Job stability wise, like if you need a paycheck and you have an entry into a full stack opening, like, I mean, I feel like that's a lot more stable than trying to get into Unity game development personally. Custom C, no, I'm not using that. The single-threaded WebSocket network library. C++, okay. I would like to see what this is. How many? Oh my gosh. So this Perplexity just found me the most niche networking library I've ever seen, with 2 people watching it, 8 stars. How old is this? Using Boost or Emscripten. If this works, I'm gonna laugh really hard actually, because this. Yeah, see you sometime, dude. Let's see. Client.cpp. Networking. Include server.h. This is funny. There's no documentation for this, from what I can tell. So if I was to use this library, wouldn't that be funny if I just use this thing? I mean, credit to whoever made this. I gotta say, N Sumner. Like, yeah. Credit to this guy. Well, let me get his profile. I like giving people credit. Yeah. Credit to this guy. Let's see. This is so funny. Is there a CMake list? There is. Graphics program seems pretty cool. Not for it's been used live in Vulkan Hell. It wouldn't be years. I mean, it depends how fast you want to learn this stuff. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't assume that it's gonna be like, devoting years of your life to Vulkan Hell. I mean, it just depends. Like, if you want it to be your full-time job, yeah, get ready to grind. But if you just want to learn this stuff, and that's your primary motivation, let me just quickly delete that HomeWorld folder. If that's your primary motivation, take your time or go as fast as you want. Vulkan's hard, but like it's not the people like to say Vulkan's impossible because it sounds kind of fun. And it's true, it's really hard, but like don't let that scare you. There are people who think that Vulkan is easy. There really are. There's people who picked up Vulkan before OpenGL and were like, I don't get what the people are complaining about. And honestly, like I watched a GDC talk. And this guy broke down Vulkan so simply. I saw this talk. I have to find it sometime. But basically, it was like it just made Vulkan seem really straightforward, and it reduced that like initial fear of, oh no, Vulkan, I'm gonna spend forever learning this impossible. There's harder frameworks out there, really. Like there's harder jobs. I mean, you could be writing an assembly at the end of the day. And that's not the only thing harder than Vulkan. Vulkan's just another library, and then their API. Do I want to use this? I'm kind of torn. I mean, this would be nice, but at the same time, there's just literally no documentation for this. Trivially subject, yeah. I mean, I feel like there might be some security vulnerabilities there. Don't clearly import. I don't want to have to make an entire networking library. I really don't want to do that. Peer-to-peer example. Okay. And scripting can emulate this. For 16-player, you can write a small C++ networking layer around BSD sockets and compile it both natively and with Emscripten. Oh, okay. Let's see. Emscripten POSIX socket. Okay. Let's see. I might have to write an API here. Emscripten WebSockets API. No, TCP sockets. Yo, been a while since I saw a stream, and how am I doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We a lot of progress has been made. Highly suggest you click the link in the description, because if you've followed this project for a little bit, like, we have clouds now. We have full up clouds. This is the browser. Let me just, why is it taking so long to load? Ah, there. This is in the browser. This is the current state of the game. This isn't my build. This is the public build. Fully volumetric clouds. How cool is that? But yeah. Right now we're starting multiplayer, and I've literally not written a single line of multiplayer code yet. Okay. Proxy server. Okay. If you have existing TCP networking code, by default, Emscripten attempts to emulate such connections. For this to work, you need to use some like WebSockify on the server side to enable TCP server stack, receive incoming WebSocket connections. It's not very complete at the moment. Oh. Well, this may lock me into not having a desktop version. How am I doing? I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah. My room temperature is luckily going down a little bit. We're at 76 degrees, not 78. Full POSIX socket API library. This supports proxying on POSIX server. The POSIX server informs TCU to be calls and have a message. This allows a web browser to run full TCP, act as a server, accept incoming connections, perform host name lookup. Huh. It can be slow. Okay. I'm sad to say it, but we might actually just have to use, like, this might be where we have to make the, like, just purely a browser version, not even a desktop build. That would suck. Actually, let me think about that, because if I have to make a browser-only version to test the multiplayer, I'm gonna have to run 2 separate instances of this, both in the browser. That is gonna be such a pain. I really don't want to do that. What was the full? Let's see. Yeah, what's up, dude? It's an all WebSocket. See if this could be compiled. This was from Stack Overflow. Let's see the full post. What is up? Originally wrong. Okay, so if I was to make a socket, right? So after I found a hidden API documentation, FSGet stream. I haven't tested it yet. Okay. Send hello. Pass the CBOK socket so I can just use a JavaScript WebSocket. I don't want that. I might have to write my own API or my own library for this, and I really, really did not intend to do that. HumbleNet might be something to look into. Tests, test loader, test peer, test WebRTC. I don't want, maybe not tests, maybe it's third party. LibWebSockets, libRT, yeah, these are just things it needs to run. Source. What does this even look like? HumbleNet. HumbleNet include. HumbleNet.h. Well, oh, this is all just raw C. HumbleNet clear error, HumbleNet set hint, get error, pull, HumbleNet version. Oh, this is the loader. HumbleNet socket. Maybe there's a server thing here. Get hostname, HumbleNet socket. And type protocol select send to what? HS socket, HF receive from, HS send to. Gosh, freaking darn it. This is so not what I want to use. Okay, we're officially not going to use HumbleNet. So one thing we could do, one option, we could have a networking system where browser clients can only play with other browser clients. And then desktop can only play with other desktop clients. That just doesn't feel right. Well, I know that games like, what's the game? Krunker.io is a browser game, but there is a desktop build. I know that because I actually downloaded it one time. There is a desktop app for it. Really, it just functions the exact same as the browser app, and it's literally just an Electron app, from what I understand. At the same time, it connects with browser games. So this, somewhere in that, this has to be possible. Okay, maybe the Perplexity isn't the one to ask. Maybe we turn to Grok. Okay. This is the most AI I've used for this in a while. Let's see. Can I not close this tab? I'd rather not live stream everything I've ever asked Grok. Let's see. Yeah, new conversation. It's loading. Okay. It's thinking for a while. I better find something because I don't like waiting forever. You know what Grok does really well? Practice tests. Practice tests and practice quizzes. I never use AI for anything like cheating with school. I don't cheat on any of my academics ever. I know that sounds like, oh, you know, everyone should do that, but you'd be surprised. But I've never done that. But what I use AI for all the time in terms of school, making practice tests and practice quizzes. It is insane how easy it makes studying. Let's see. HumbleNet. Strangest. Okay. Gosh darn it. HumbleNet's back. HumbleNet init. Custom desktop and web connects and data, etc. When to choose. If true, P2P. No central game server. I don't want P2P. Best modern all-in-one. Why it fits. Full async C++1 runtime with explicit web for and script and integration. Node web package makes it trivial. Okay, I'll take that. Lib. Best structured for authoritative servers. Low latency library. How web works. On scripting, you plug WebSocket WebRTC transport on desktop use. Automatic world replication. I use it for my web security course. It was the only AI providing. It was the only AI providing actual code. Let's see. Other viable options. Repo. You want a proper authoritative with efficient syncing. Most competitive games need this. Okay, let's see this. C++ runtime. Sorry. I don't ask Grok for code, so I cannot speak to its ability with that. Let's see. Node PV main server. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. This is HTTP though. I don't need HTTP, I need WebSockets. That's not good. Is there documentation for this? There is documentation. Write once, compile everywhere. Powerful open source frameworks. No, wait a minute. librtc. Why you need it? Network game consists of 7 entities. This was actually a networking library. Okay. If I were to use librg, would browser clients be able to connect to the same game servers as desktop clients? It's a good question. Yeah, I would. Okay. I think we found our library. I think we have entity tracking owner. Oh, this is great. This is a full up networking library. Okay. That makes life a little easier, I think. We'll get back to here, add subdirectory, vendor slash what? Vendor mini, not mini audio, what the heck? librg. Okay, and then let's see, does it have any sort of CMake file? Uh-oh, wait a minute, this is Node. Hold on. Is it? How would I include this? Is there releases, maybe? librg.h. Is this a header-only library? How nice would that be? librg. We're gonna just delete all this. And then we will go, yeah, STB image, we did the same thing there. Go here, drag into librg. Okay. Interesting. So it looks like we might have some sort of add subdirectory. We don't want to add subdirectory because it's not that. We'll just include it here. Raw vendor librg librg.h. And then throw that there as well. Let's see if it compiles. Okay, it compiled. Let me just make sure everything's, yeah, we're all good. Does the web build? Network manager. So we want a couple things. We should have a create server method. Now here's the thing when it comes to this game for like client server architecture. We have two choices. We can make this, you know, the right way. We can do server authoritative logic. Here's the problem with that. If I make this server authoritative, I'm effectively going to have to rewrite this thing twice, just not without the graphics. It's like a headless version of this that handles flying aircraft. Now, what that means is if there's any sort of latency issues, like you're gonna feel it. To fix that, I have to have client-side prediction. This becomes a lot more complicated. I don't intend for this to be a AAA competitive FPS where everything is, you know, like perfect. Now, of course, if hackers become an issue, we might talk about that. But honestly, right now, I want to get this working. I just want this to do the bare minimum. I want this to be a fun game you can play. I will have checks to make sure that like people aren't cheating. But I don't intend to write all of this on the server now. So the server, I think I might, for at least for the beginning, make this a client authoritative game. It is what it is. But yeah, and then I can always go back and change it if I need. Create lobby. And then static. Well, we should have like a lobby object at some point, I feel like. Join lobby, and then we'll have an int. Well, code. Lobby code. These will be kind of like the two main methods. We should also have a struct for lobby. And a lobby will just contain a series of entities. Because entities in this game, just an ID, essentially. So if we just store the raw entity data, well, that's an issue. Where will the world exist? Locally or globally? Or honestly, we probably need a separate type of entity. We'll struct network entity. And the network entity for now is just going to have an ID. And ID. And then, network entity. Network entities. And then include, let's see, network manager. Void network manager, create lobby. Void network manager, join lobby. Is lobby code, yeah, okay. And then, if you create a lobby, oh my gosh, we're gonna have RPCs of some kind. Oh, this is gonna suck. Okay, so this is the client. We should rename this client because that's what this is. Client. And that's gonna change everything. Moved everything up there. So now here, src slash, let's see, yeah, I'll name this client. This is gonna break so much stuff, but it is what it is. Let's see. Yeah, could not find what? Glad.c. Where's the glad.c? Oh. Add executable. There we go. Okay. And then this is gonna break all the includes in here. Or not. Well, wait, no, it's not gonna break anything. What am I talking about? Let me just make sure the build still works. Build desktop. No need for any sort of src stuff. If we run, it works. Okay, so then we'll have our client. We'll also have server. Okay, and then this will, frankly, it'll be its own app. And we'll have to have oh, this is gonna suck so bad. I really don't like writing multiplayer code. Void main. Yeah, it's fine. We'll use int main. Did I use int main or void main here? What was my stand? Yeah, I think I just used void main. Nope, int main return 0. Okay. Return 0. Some implementations just let you use int, I believe. Now here's a question. Do I break this into a library? Does the engine specify? That's one thing we could do, actually. We could make everything in here into a standalone library and then link that to a client app and a server app. That way we write code once. I like that method. There we go. I think this is going to be the way we do things. No, we don't want to delete. Copy, engine, paste. Okay. Now, when we build this, how do we want to do this? We want to make a couple things. So the engine should probably have its own cmake lists.txt. Let me just copy some of this basic start off stuff and then if mscriptin. Okay, this stuff actually this whole file for now is just going to go right back here. Only now it's going to be a library. So it's going to be add library. Not web dogfight. This would be project. What would the engine of this be called? Fox engine. Fox 2 engine. Fox 2 engine. We are rewriting so much stuff right now. This is gonna definitely break everything, but that's okay. I'm not complaining. And then in here, how do we handle this? So it'll compile to what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I maybe shouldn't have done that. Maybe it's best to leave this here. Delete the engine stuff. We're going to leave this as is. Let's not destroy everything off the bat. Gosh darn it. I would like the server to have access to some of this stuff. What does the server need? Really? The server just needs the networking stuff. So if I really wanted to do this, so this is the app with its networking library. We could write our own networking library. Honestly, do I want to do that? Maybe. But we're already using a library, so really all this would be a wrapper. I don't think we need to do that. I'm just trying to think about how I want to do this best. So the server will probably just use some sort of like, what? Well, let's first see how librc works, okay? Before we do anything crazy, let's just see some documentation. Why you need it? Life without, life with. Awesome. Okay. Is this a networking? No. All you need, read data to and from the buffer, which most libraries support. Okay. I'm starting to get this. So we kind of could write our own networking library. Okay. Okay, my arm has been twisted. We'll use librg. We will write a networking library. I didn't want to do this. What do I have a files thing in here? I don't need a... Let's see. New folder. Fox2net. Okay. Open local folder. PC dev Fox2net. Okay. We are going to now have to make our own library effectively. That's fine. I don't mind. I will be taking some of the starter code from the last project, though. CMake lists. Okay. How do we go about this? Copy this file. Okay, CMake lists.txt. Oh, this is going to be such a pain. How? I still feel like I'm making things too complicated. I've gone back and forth on this like 5 times. There's got to be an easier way. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to get this to just compile and run. And then I'm going to think about what I actually need to do here. Oh, we haven't included the vector stuff. Okay. Include vector. That should work. Okay. Let's just make sure I haven't like permanently broken anything. Because I've changed a lot of pretty crucial code, I would say. I'm starting to understand what that librc does. It's networking library agnostic. So technically I could like plug and play WebRTC, WebSockets for the script and build and then whatever other library. But it does mean I'll have to basically use 2 networking libraries. Not too keen on that, but it is what it is. I just need to learn more about it before I can actually use it. Enet. Is this C++? Yeah, it is. Okay. Enet initialize. Single-headed preferred. Create host. Okay. maybe enet C++ null type layer game. Okay, enet compile to Watson. Oh. Okay. Hmm. This is just gonna be a pain. Okay, so enet might not be the WebSocket. We can't use WebSocket. Any other kind of TCP or UDP thing. Okay, so we'll use enet, and then we'll also use WebSockets, and then we'll just have a library that has some standard methods between the two. Okay, let's just see. Does this still work? Join. Okay, still works. That's good. Although, I did just notice a bug. Is this client? Yeah, it is client, because we will need a separate client. And then, under, what is it? Gameplay, aircraft, what was it? Mouse, I think? Mouse, position, target delta. Interesting. Maybe we do just now have it the normal way, because it seems to be breaking things doing it this way. I don't know what was causing it last time. Build for the web, build for the desktop as well. Okay, desktop is already built. Let's see, does this work? Okay. That's backwards. Does the web work now? Join. They're both backwards now, so at least that works. But maybe it's just that they now need to be inverted. So maybe it's like negative that. Build. Build for the web as well. No, not run web. Build for the web. Yeah, that's already built. Does this work now? Join. Yep, that works. Okay, that works. The mouse controls now work. And then, do they work in the browser as well? They do. Perfect. That all works in. Perfect, 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 perfect. Networking is gonna suck. Probably shouldn't have started this with a live stream. I need to honestly do a lot more boring research before I can comfortably make progress on this live. But we'll say client server folder structure. Commit, push. That's a big push. Okay. All right. I think that's kind of where I should probably leave off, honestly, because there's not much else I can do until I actually like learn a bit about enet. So that'll be it. I will see y'all later.